Hi, Steve.
Hi, Jim.
So we're talking box sets today, and just like my shelves, I don't know how we're going to fit it all into one episode.
We'll cram it in.
And welcome once again to Two Guys Talking About Records, a vinyl community podcast. Each week, we two guys get together and we talk about records because that's what we do. That's how we roll.
It's our life.
Yes. My name's Jim, and I own a record store.
And I am Steve, a record collector.
And
Of multiple copies.
Multiple copies record collector. I was going to say I watched your Sunday video, and yeah,
We'll cover those. I'll share them.
You just really love records, man.
I do.
So we'll talk about that, I'm sure. Are you showing those today?
Yeah, I am, as a matter of fact.
Well, we'll talk about those in a little bit. But yeah, we've got that to get to. We're going to talk about box sets today and fit in a couple of newly announced box sets that help, I think, really help get the point across about what we're trying to make about box sets and whether or not they are necessary for record collectors or if they're just a super niche for super fans of individual groups. And we'll take it from there and see what happens. But definitely it takes up a lot of space in the podcast and on the shelves, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And, if you have the room, it's great. I've seen people that have a special room just for box sets. I used to have tons, but I had room. Now, it's got to be special.
It does. So we'll get to that here in a couple of moments. But as this is the Vinyl Community Podcast, and you folks like to see what kind of records we pick up, and especially Steve, because you like to look at Steve's pickups and go, really?
What is that?
What is that? This week is no exception, is it? You've got a few goodies and a few copies of a few goodies.
Yeah. I did. This was an interesting week. Should have seen what came in the mail yesterday. I'm not showing it, but gee, I spent a lot of my Vinyl Me Please credit. And
okay, I got it.
And Fuzz Club. But all right, so first one here. This came in from Fuzz Club. It's the brand new ones, the Black Doldrums. Think Joy Division. Very similar, kind of a Doom type feel to it. I think they called it a goth pop. Is their official wording of it. So goth pop.
With a name like Black Doldrums, it makes Joy Division sound happy.
It does. and it's in bright happy pink.
Well, there, that makes up for it.
I had their first album. I believe this is their second or third. This is it's really good. I've really been enjoying this. I was happy to see that this was coming out from them, and really good. It's off of Fuzz Club, and the Black Doldrums. So it's such a cheerful thing. We had this. This came in. Jim sent me this. This was nice VCLT.
There we go.
He was kind of after the flood, so he thought it was such an appropriate title for me. And Vic and Kepi, Rugged Ghoulie, which is the name, and kind of a bluesy type album. And these guys they're pretty funny with their lyrics. Some really fun stuff happening on here. But just it's these two guys just playing away. But it did have kind of a bluesy folk feel. Would you say that describes it correctly, Jim?
It does. I gave it a listen, and I was thinking about that when it came into the store, and then with the title, I thought, you know what, Steve should probably have this.
Yeah, there we go. Didn't Bob Dylan do an After the Flood or something?
Kinda.
All right, kind of.
Rains.
Yeah. The newest reissue from Fela Kuti. So we did get this in. They're doing the 50th anniversary now of his music, and of course it's only 2 songs, over 15 minutes per side on each song. This one is called El Gabon Close. It's just Fela. It's just pure, put you into that trance kind of beat going on. Lots of instrumentation, and then of course he sings. It's kind of like his other stuff, but I really like it. Very danceable. Very danceable.
Very good.
Yeah.
I found we talked we talk and outside of the podcast, folks. Yes, Steve and I do talk a
Yes.
lot. I was on a record hunt, a rare one for me, where I hit some spots, and I did find that album of more traditional African music. And you said, "Why not?" So we'll do that next week. And I
That's
don't think it's going to compare to Fela Kuti stuff, though.
Yeah, we'll see with that how that one goes. This is when it's been Jim's store for a few years now.
Yep.
I've looked at over and over. First time I played it, go, God, that's awful. and now
You
it's sitting
did.
in my hands. This is what we call VC, part of the VC peer pressure, not from Jim. There's a guy down in Australia, Ben Rankin. This is an Australian group, these Immortal Souls. And this is their first album. And he loves this group. He just says it's one of the best groups. The name of the album is Get Lost, Don't Lie. So, I've been chatting because he keeps showing it. And I go, are you sure that's any good? Yeah, it is. And so after, I don't know, 3 years or so of looking at this in Jim's store, I just said, oh, Jim, just send me it. So,
And that was from that famed punk collection that came in.
Yeah.
And so you once the initial pickings were done here in the store and what you got, you kept looking at it. I do remember it. We put it on one day and you're like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
the vocals are kind of, and so, but I pulled it out many times and looked at it there, and you know what, Jim, I kind of liked it.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, so that was I'm actually happy I got this.
Cool.
Now Ben Rankin, if you're watching this, I do own this. So
maybe the acoustics are different in your record room than they are here in the store, and you just picked up the vocals differently.
That could very well be. And now for the big thing of the week.
Oh, man.
And here, this is when you get old, you shouldn't really be allowed to do certain things like buy online, pre-order, or write everything down. But I did get in, and this Nice Biscuit, which on my broadcast, my vinyl community broadcast, I kept calling New Biscuit the whole time. And I know it says nice here. I obviously reading is not it's not something I'm really good at. But the name of the band is Nice Biscuit, and this is called SOS. And I had gotten a email from Bad Afro Records, and I like a lot of stuff that comes off Bad Afro Records, and I pulled up some samples of this. I went to YouTube. I played the videos. I go, man, that is really, really catchy. So I need to buy that, and so I pre-ordered that here, and beautiful vinyl.
Cool.
Looks really nice. So yeah, that was really exciting. And then I'm watching on so that was like 2-3 months ago. I pre-ordered this thing. So that was a while back. So then last week I'm watching one of my favorite channels, Sam the Vinyl Douche, and he shows this album. And I go, wow, that sounds really good. I really, really like that. Forgetting I had this one. So I went on to Amazon. Yep. And I bought it on Amazon. So the Amazon one comes in first, and I'm really excited to put it on. And I love this album. I think it's just fantastic. This could really be my favorite album of the year. So then the next day, though, it comes my pre-order. I go, what the hell did I do? And there's oh yeah, I pre-ordered that sucker. Crap, man. And then the third day, another one comes in. It was on Fuzz Club, and I was looking on Fuzz Club. And I go, oh, look, this thing. Man, that sounds really good. I need to get that. So we now have two of them are numbered, though. There were only 350 of them made, and I now own 2 of them. So I really helped them kind of move this stuff out. I'm telling you, Jim, old age is scaring the hell out of me, and I don't know what's going to happen here.
Oh.
We may be one guy talking about records and the other guy just kind of slobbering on the side. I'm not sure.
The sad reality of aging is sometimes you have to consider taking away a person's car keys. Maybe we should take away your Discogs
I,
access.
I think so. But the thing, hey, I could send back the Amazon one easy enough. I may send these out as VCLT. All I can say is I absolutely love this album. There's some psych in there. There is some krautrock type feel. The rhythm section has almost like a disco type beat going on. It is so hard, the bass and the drum, and just propels this music. It's out there. There's a variety of videos from them. And they're out of Australia, and it's 2 gals and 3 guys, and it's fantastic. Nice Biscuit is, yeah, I've been playing it. I've been playing 3 copies like constantly now. You know, if I had
one for every room in the house you want to put a turntable in.
Exactly right. So that's what I got this week, Jim.
Okay, then. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing some sound samples. As always, we'll get to my stuff in a second. But as always, we do put together a Spotify playlist so you folks can hear some of the music that we're talking about, and you can explore further for yourself. And copyright restrictions being what they are, we don't want to run afoul of them. So check for that. The playlist is usually in the descriptions of both the Spotify episode and the YouTube episode, and then we do put that up on the Facebook page as well. So make sure you check out for that. Okay, so my week was just a late week. Everything kind of showed up. Not everything. Most of them showed up just within the past day or so. And I thought, I really kind of want to add that to my collection. So I'm going to add that to my collection. And the first is, it's just a very common record. This is one from my high school era. And multiple, and by multiple, I mean multiple copies of this have come through the store over the years. And I'll play it when it's in the store and enjoy it. But I've never really added one to my collection. And finally, I just decided to go ahead and do that with Billy Squier's Don't Say No. And this originally released in 1981, so smack dab in the middle of my my high school days. And lots of great stuff. In the Dark, The Stroke, My Kind of Lover. This is one of those albums it's got a lot of catchy tunes on them. And I don't know why I've never added that into my collection. I just never have. And a nice copy came through, and I thought, you know what? Time to do so, because I enjoy it when I have it in the store and I play those. So it's always a fun one. Next one was, I'll consider it in addition to the collection, but it's actually an upgrade for me. You know how we like to do upgrades from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
And Todd Rundgren's group, The Nazz, and this is their third album, Nazz 3. You know, they started off with Nazz, and their second album was Nazz Nazz. You thought the third one would have been Nazz Nazz Nazz, but it's not the case. It's 1971's Nazz 3, and I had a nice copy of it in my collection. Let me do this real quick so we can look. But this particular one that came in, you see it's got the DJ sticker on the front, and it is a white label promo. So right into the collection that's going to go. I'll take my other original copy of that and put it out. So Todd Rundgren in the Nazz, they only did these 3 albums, I do believe, and they kind of disbanded after a few years. The early Nazz stuff to me it's just great psych rock, a little pop flavor to it. By the time they got to this one, you can see you can hear some of Rundgren's influence with his more mellow poppy tunes. So the end result is that this album is just all over the place. It cannot make up its mind if it's psych rock. It can't make up its mind if it's pop. It also has some flavorings of almost I don't want to say a comedy record, but just like a novelty record song in there. There's one on here. Where is it called? It's called Loosen Up. And I believe it's Archie Bell did Tighten Up, right? Among other.
Yeah.
And the whole idea was that their band is tight and they're going to jam and they're going to play. Well, Loosen Up starts off with that. And it's got that really kind of a funk soul feel to it. But as they sing, they loosen up instead of tighten up. And by the end of the song, the drums, the guitar, the bass, and the keyboard are just kind of like avant-garde jazz, playing whatever they feel like, not a tight group. And so it's like, you know, what's up with that? But, you know, I do enjoy the Nazz. Their psych rock on the stuff that's on here is just absolutely rips. They're good psychedelic rock on that. And I'm happy to have a nice white label promo to add into it.
I kind of wish they had called it Nazz, 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 and then did a 4th album called Nazz, 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 you know, and kept that thing going, because I
just kept
do that.
kept it going through here. Okay, the next one we're going to be a little timely with as of the recording of this. We're a few days out from the Halloween season, and I picked up a copy of let's see here, the Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds. And I've had this in my collection before, and then I'd get rid of it, and I'd add it back in, and I'd get rid of it. And it's simply because it's a little corny. This is originally released in 1981, so it's post-disco, but it's got a little bit of that, just a little bit of that hokey feeling to it. And I had to do a little research on Jeff Wayne. Let's see if I can find my info on him here. Yeah, he's an American-born but British musician and composer who did this musical interpretation of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, not the movies, but the actual book. And they did receive permission from the Wells estate to create the musical version in '81 when they did this. And there's some cool folks appearing with him on here, including the likes of, let's see, where do we got here? Justin Hayward from the Moody Blues. Let's see, Julie Covington, Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy, and David Essex. They're all kind of lending their assistance to this. And Jeff Wayne, I should have mentioned too, by the way, went on to a long career of creating musical jingles for commercials, like of them, usually mostly in Britain, and themes. But he did this, and I think he did a musical interpretation of Spartacus as well at one point. But this is actually a very cool version. Comes with a nice little booklet in there. And the inside, it's a very cool looking album. And musically, it is what you would expect to be a musical interpretation of a science fiction story about the invasion of Earth by Martians. Like the Martians are coming. But it's a little hokey, but I do enjoy it. And what's even cooler is that I found a half-speed master version of this.
Okay, wow.
These things aren't worth a ton of a lot, but the half-speed master, for whatever reason, is way up there. So have you heard any cuts off of that before?
I have not. No.
You will on the playlist. I already checked. It is in Spotify. So we'll do that. And then the last pickup was kind of the spur of the moment. I had placed an order for someone from Discogs, and a lot of times when you do that, the sellers say, oh, add another album for no extra shipping. And so I poke around and see if there's anything that I'd like on there. And then I saw this, and it's actually pretty darn cool. This is a Record Store Day compilation album from April 19th of 2008. So this was the first Record Store Day. And RSD used to put out compilations. I don't think they did it for maybe 3 or 4 years. I've got to go back and look. But it's just kind of a little sampling of some of the stuff that they were celebrating on that first Record Store Day back in 2008. So you've got stuff on here. There's a Bruce Springsteen song, John Mayer. Let's see, Steve Winwood featuring Eric Clapton. Lou Reed's Perfect Day, Run DMC, It's Tricky, Rage Against the Machine, Patti Smith, Pearl Jam, and Jeff Buckley are all represented on here. And I looked around and thought, well, if I get this one, am I going to get a few others? But I have not as of yet. They're not that expensive either. So it's just kind of a very cool compilation to help celebrate RSD and be in the store here that does deal with RSD. I think that's kind of cool to do.
Yeah, that is.
So I don't know if I can find the artwork of that, but I can find some of those songs for the playlist. But yeah, once again, just check out the Spotify playlist that we put together so you guys can hear sound samples of these and some of the other things that we like to talk about here on Two Guys Talking About Records, because they're records and we're talking about them.
That's right. Good stuff.
I want you to hear that Jeff Wayne War of the World. Yeah. So it's fun, but it's corny. How's that?
Okay. There you go.
All right. Before we get to the box sets, I've got an update. So a couple weeks back, we talked about the Queen promo kit that I landed here at the store that had the press release, the press kit, if you will, that had the press releases and the pictures and the posters, but was missing the record.
Yeah.
And the quandary that I faced was, according to Discogs, the promo version was a specific one. It had a certain kind of hype sticker on the cover. So I couldn't just in good conscience go out and get any promo copy to put in there to make it complete. I mean, I could have, but I would have known, right? So I found a promo copy on Discogs, sent a note out, never heard back, sent another note, never heard back. It's like, all I want to do is help confirm. Can you send me a picture? But then I thought, okay, I'm just going to go for it. If it is the promo one that works, great. If not, then I'll have a promo copy of the album and I'll keep looking for it. Well, lo and behold, I found one.
Okay.
And according to the Discogs pictures and everything, the hype sticker matches, and this is the proper copy to go with the press kits. So now I can feel happy about that. And right on the cover or on the label, so you know what it is. It says promotional use only on there,
Nice.
and a promotional copy, not for sale. So it does go with it. It is complete now, and now I just have to decide what to do.
Wow.
That's the other part of it, because on its own, the press kit is cool, but if you're a collector, you want to have the total package.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we did. We put it together.
Yeah, very nice.
And I will decide where to go from there.
Yeah.
It's not a cheap venture either, unfortunately, but that's how that goes.
Yeah. Well, it's just one of those special things. What's the chance you're ever going to find him?
And that's just it too. You look on Discogs for the entry for the press version, the press kit version, none for sale, last sold like in the earlier part of the year. And it was like a $700 one on there. And that seems a little steep, but it is what it is. So we'll go from there.
Hey, Jim, before we get going, Halloween's this week, and our color combination is, which was totally unplanned, but my gosh, we look like
I didn't quite realize that. And I've been told back from my old television news anchor and reporting days that I've got a pumpkin head. So
okay. I just thought, yeah, that's pretty good. All right, we're dressed appropriately for this.
Coordinating like this. We're talking and thinking about records like that, Case. So, all right. So onward to box sets this week. You know them, you love them. Maybe you don't. Maybe you are hooked on them. Maybe they're a necessity, but only for certain artists. And I think one thing we can all agree on, Steve, is that they're expensive and they take up a hell of a lot of room on a shelf.
They do. This during the CD era, 90s, it was a lot easier. They didn't take up nearly as much room. You could get them in. There'd be smaller ones, bigger ones. But now they come in crates. I mean, all of a sudden we got $1,000 box sets. Here you go, and it just makes you scratch your head. But I guess if you really like that, and again, I've seen people so excited because they get these really expensive ones, which I've seen drop like $500 in value too. But it means something to them. But you got to have some space and really, really want it.
You got to be kind of dedicated. What kind of brought this up is, and before we get into our collection, and I do have some here in the crate next to me, and we'll call up some goodies, and I know you've got some too. Yeah. But there were a few things that I wanted to talk about as far as upcoming box sets, being privy to the upcoming releases here at the store, and I need to call this up here. I see a lot of solicitations for, hey, this is coming up soon. Here's available for pre-order. Some of them are ridiculous. Some of them I kick out on there and put on our pre-orders, and some I just say, well, if it's something I know somebody's looking for. But this one popped up, and it actually comes out. We're recording this again on the 27th of October, just previous. So this coming Friday, the 1st of November, is an anniversary for Weezer and the Blue album. That's arguably, I think, a very important debut album from a group. It really made an impression when that came out 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And to help celebrate that, Weezer has introduced, Steve, a box set.
Well, happy anniversary to Weezer first.
A box set. Now they are putting out a standalone album that's blue with splatter that's actually pretty cool and it's reasonably priced. But this is on the Weezer website. As you can see, it is already sold out.
Wow.
This is what they're calling a super deluxe vinyl box set. And what makes this cool is on the website version, the slipcase for this box set is an actual sweater. And I don't know if you can see that on there, but it's, the outer slipcase is a sweater that you'll pull the box set in and out of. And I guess there's even a thread on the side of it that can be pulled out as well, but I've been told that it will retract. So that's something else. It listed for $400 and sold out on the Weezer website, already.
Wow.
And But this thing, let me get over to my description here, and I'll tell you exactly what this is. It's a super deluxe 4 LP set with a 10-inch single, a 7-inch single, and a whole bunch of other goodies here. So 30 years with super deluxe. The album's been newly remastered from the original analog tapes. The set includes 50 total tracks, 36 of them previously unreleased, and that includes 8 what they're calling kitchen tape demos, i.e., they're just sitting around recording themselves, 22 early practices, live recordings, including 6 BBC radio recordings, 2 that were never broadcast, 4 tracks from their LMU sessions. It's got stickers and posters, an enameled pin, a 12-sided die, as well as the 10-inch and the 7-inch. And the commercial version, not the one we're looking at here off the Weezer website, but the commercial version that we would be able to get a hold of is not in a sweater slipcase, but they're calling it a sweater-like embossed case on the outside. But even the one that we get still has the ability to pull a thread, and they swear that it is retractable on there as well. So now, when talking about box sets, it's interesting because you know what? You're getting a huge box set that surrounds one album.
Yeah.
And okay, the album is great. I'll give it its place in history as establishing Weezer as just a great alt rock group, alternative, whatever you want to call them. That album is a great album. How deep do you need to go in 4 different LPs, all that other stuff to celebrate that one record? Obviously, fairly, fans are digging it because it's sold out.
Mm-hmm.
But is that for anyone other than a super fan of Weezer?
I would have to say for $400, you would have to be a super fan. Though I am not a super fan, but I looked at that and go, God, that would be so cool.
You'd have to get the one with the sweater slipcase, though.
Yeah, and I could buy 3 copies of it.
Accidentally, that'd be a hell of a VCLT for somebody. Hey, or what you do is you give the sweater away for like a Christmas sweater to somebody at that point. So, I mean, that's one thing. And there's lots of other examples of box sets, especially anniversary box sets that revolve around a single album.
Yeah.
And we have talked about this a lot before. I think we made fun of Aha at one point because they did that for the Hunting High and Low. It's like, okay, you had one hit. And we'll take heat. I think we did get Ha had more hits than that. It's like, okay, that's good, but you're celebrating several $100 box set with multiple records. And I can, for some reason, when you hear practice tapes or our kitchen demos, you're thinking, yes, it's a window. It is a window to the creative process.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. But at the same time, when you start including things that weren't included on the album, you're saying, well, this wasn't good enough 30 years ago, but we hope you like it now.
Yeah. And that's where the fan gets in. They can dig in. They can analyze it. Kind of, well, that's really interesting what they did. And I used to have a lot of those in my previous collection where, you would go in and they would just go through the process of those demos. But and I know we've talked about this before. My problem is I might listen to the demos once. Yep. And I'll probably never listen to it again, because it just wasn't that good.
Yeah, you're like, well, that was cool. I see how they did that. I see why they did that. On the shelf it goes.
Exactly. I'd recently bought that Lou Reed. Now, it was just an album, but, a 2-album set, but it had his early demos on there. And I wound up giving that away as VCLT. So someone said, I'd really like that. I said, well, that's good because I don't like it.
That's coming from you, who's a fan of Velvet and Lou. I mean, big fan.
Yeah.
The other side of this is, and this is another upcoming one that I wanted to highlight here, and it's not a box set that revolves around a single album so much as it is a box set that celebrates an entire discography. And I'm talking, of course, here about this newly announced Azie Osborne box set called See You on the Other Side. Azie, by the way, just inducted as a solo artist into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm glad I didn't place any money on whether or not he was going to make it to that actual ceremony, by the way, but he did. And if you haven't seen that, I'm sure the video will be up on it. There's several videos on YouTube already with his acceptance speech, but it was interesting nonetheless. But this is we're talking a $600 box set from Ozzie Osborne that is essentially his entire solo discography going back to the early 1980s. And it comes out next March. And it is the complete vinyl works of Ozzie Osbourne's original solo material in a limited edition numbered black vinyl set. 2,000 copies of this made, and it'll feature a total of 18 albums, including rarities compilations. In his most recent releases, Ordinary Man and Patient Number 9. Super Deluxe box set also includes 10 brand new full-size posters, vintage photos, a gold bat vinyl slip mat, and individually numbered vellum certificate of authenticity, personally signed by Ozzie Osborne. So
he's going to sign 2,000 of those, huh?
He is going to sign 2,000 of those things put together. And that thing is it's a crate almost in there too that you see. And you know what? That's cool. I mean, it's cool for Ozzie fans, but, and I'm going to toss this caveat in there. How many Ozzie fans do you know of that already have the majority of his discography individually?
Yeah. I mean, if they're fans, they're going to have that. Now it's $30 an album, which in today's rate doesn't seem too bad. But that you're right. It just becomes, that's a cool box set. I got it. Yeah, I already have these albums. I got this certificate though, signed, and it's a few of the extras. Yeah.
So, I mean, again, Ozzie fans, true super fans of either Weezer or Ozzie, or you name the group, Aha in there too, they'll go for these albums because and I'll admit it, I'll do this with Rush, and I've got several Rush box sets that we'll talk about here. They're ones that, because the group is important to us, therefore that album or that series of albums is also important enough for us to go in. But I like it when they can add extra stuff to a box set to make it more worthwhile. In the case of Rush, it's the album itself, maybe it's remastered, and then live stuff, and then maybe some extra goodies here and there. Not a lot of the demo. I'm not a big fan of the demos, although I get it. Sometimes the stuff is cool, but I like it when you can mix in live with that. And that'll give me probably more incentive to listen to the other albums in a box set, if that's the case, if it revolves around an album and not a complete discography.
Totally agree. Yeah, me too.
So what kind of box set goodies do you have to show off? I'll grab a couple of mine here. I've got some oddities first here too, and then dig into the meat. But you got some goodies?
Well, that's just so we talked about the single album, okay? And my channel is really known for being a huge Kiss channel. You are. Yeah, I am the world's biggest Kiss fan. But Destroyer, I love. This is my first concert I ever went to. I bought that album when it came out, and I thought it was, just fantastic. So they put out this 45th. Now, not 30th, not 40th. Let's just do 45th. That means there will be a 50th one coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Keep the money coming. But so what we got on here was okay. We have, it's a book, a nice book, which is great. You know what? I like that. It's a hardbound book. Isn't that nice? I would flip through. You can see it's pictures and stuff. That's very nice. Is there a record album in here somewhere? Let's see here. We have, where the hell did I put my record album? I did come with a record album. For some odd reason, I took that out, but I do. It really does have a record album. It came with this. We have Kiss Army. We have in here, it is a, there we go.
It's got the full complement of goodies.
Yeah, it is. It's packed with goodies. I mean, it is just loaded with stuff. Yeah, stickers, iron-ons, pictures, lots of these kind of things. This is jammed with things. Even,
window cling.
Yeah, but wait, there's more. Then there is. Well, we have. Let's see. We got CDs of various. Now we get into demos and stuff like that. Here's some more CDs of stuff. Yeah, there is some live concerts on here. Here's the original remastered CD, but again, did I listen to all that? No. There's also, we have here, you open this up, we have the copy of their tour. Again, this was
Cool.
the tour
That's
I
kind of
went
cool.
to. So yes, CEF 76, Omaha, Nebraska. You have things like blueprints of their concert stage. You have more. Oh, you got to pick, posters. What do we got here? Yay, Kiss. Okay, I know that was a big surprise. What could that poster be? There's two posters in there, newspaper. So there's all this stuff, and to me, this is my one Kiss album that I need to have because I went to that concert and it meant a lot to me. So I was excited to see this. Where the hell did I put that album in? But oh well, it's here somewhere. But this was nice, and I really enjoyed getting this. So yeah. Did I really need it all? No, I did not. And there's the reason why I did not find the record in here, Jim. It was just CDs.
Oh, you bought a CD box set in
It
that
was a
case.
CD box set, yeah.
Oh my.
And so 4 CDs, but I knew that at the time. I think the albums probably were super expensive to get,
Yeah.
but you got all that stuff. And that's what, to me, what makes a box set fun is all this stuff. I don't know. Are you showing that the blues one from Ann Arbor?
I am not. I just have the individual albums. You've got the big box set of
okay.
that. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, there's this, so I bought this blues one from Ann Arbor, and it's just packed with all kinds of goodies in there from the lineups and everything and newspaper articles. It's fascinating. And so those are what I like about a box set.
So my one big one. Now, I mentioned that I have several Rush box sets, and they're doing the anniversary. At least they had. They're bypassing the anniversary this year. We're running out of 2024 to hit the 40th anniversary of Signals, but they also didn't do anything for the 50th anniversary of their self-titled. But for the 40th anniversary of each of their albums, they would go through and do a box set. The first being the Rush self-titled, 10 years ago now. And I did get that box set, but that first Rush self-titled box set came with just the remastered version of that album inside of it.
Mhm.
And then it had some other goodies, a press pass and some pictures and a poster and the like, but it was still a box set. And I was thinking, well, it's one record in there. This is kind of the earlier edge of the rock anniversary box sets.
Yeah.
So I've got the box itself displayed on top of the shelf, and I just put the album in with the rest of them. So I've got that broken up. But I did get a whole bunch of Rush, and no secret here that the important one for me is going to be Permanent Waves. So when the 40th anniversary of Permanent Waves came through, what Rush did for several of their 40th anniversary is that they would do a remastering of the album itself. Then they would have a box set, which would be just the album and then the live. So it was like a 2 or 3 album box set. And then they would do a super deluxe box set. So for most of the previous 40th anniversaries, I got just the regular box set. But for Permanent Waves, I ended up getting the super deluxe box set version of this. And so this came with a couple of CDs, the 180 gram vinyl on there as well, the original album, bonus live content from the Permanent Waves World Tour of 1980. So it was topical time of there. And that is a 3 LP, I think, set of live stuff. Hardcover book with illustrations. And this, much like your Kiss one, has just got a ton of stuff that as a Rush fan, I thoroughly enjoyed. But again, this is me being a super fan for that particular one, that particular album. So you can tell that I've really dug into this a lot and messed with it. But we've got a notepad from Le Studio where they recorded that, laminate, backstage laminates, recreations in there, lyric sheets for Permanent Waves, which I think are also very cool. words and pictures, posters, and the like. And then the albums themselves, the records themselves are all very cool. They come in their own little box sets, including, and I didn't even get to the CDs in there, but you've got the remastered, of which, I've got like 6 copies of this now. And then there's the double live. Nope, I think it is a double live LP of that era. And then much like your Kiss set, it also has that hardcover book talking just about. It's even got the Dewey Defeats Truman headline on there. We're going to talk about. Oh, I'm sorry. There's the CDs. They're in the book. Shows you how much I really went to the CDs. So, again, this, as you mentioned, this is an important one to me. So therefore, I decided to really kind of step up and do the full size box set, get the whole package. Most of the other Rush stuff I've got is just the mid range, the box set with just the records. I did at one point. I went to get the moving pictures one because it even had a little model car, a little plastic car inside a red Barchetta. When I opened it up, I was going to do a big open box video for YouTube. The car was broken on the inside. So,
it crashed.
It did. So, but I opted in that case just to go back to the middle range box set of those.
How often do you listen to it? Do you pull it out to listen to it?
Not very often. Yeah. I've listened to it maybe once or twice, but I listen to the album a lot.
Yeah.
But I have my other 200 gram one that is easier to play. But I also have this at home, so I can listen to it at home if I so desire and bring it out. And the live stuff too. I've gone to that a couple of times, but it's not a lot because we talked about our listening time the other day. This one's at home, so I don't dig into it as often as I would like to.
Well, and that kind of, it brings up with a box set is how often do we pull it and listen to it?
Yep.
Because it's up there, it's in a box. Now I got to take it out of a box or whatever. Now I have this is probably one of my all-time favorite box sets. It's Luna, and one of my all-time favorite groups from Dean Wareham, and it has their discography in here. A lot of this Luna was in the 90s and early aughts. To get their records becomes extremely expensive. You really can't afford it. This allowed me the chance to get the complete discography of Luna. And after the flood, I did that for a variety of groups. Like I have the band, I have the Clutch box set. There's just certain groups where I have their complete discography. The thing comes down to how often do I pull it to play that album. Now, I was on our friend Chance he has his podcast, and on there we were talking about box sets, and I was on there. It's what someone said on there is he takes these albums out of the box, puts them in sleeves, and puts them within his record collection. He does that because he'll play them more often.
Yep, because, I think that's a key.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It really makes, obviously I haven't done that yet, but it does make good sense because when we're going for a record, we'll have the boxes there. We like looking at them. They're really cool, but we usually always grab the album. So he just puts it in the empty box back up on the shelf, but then has these sleeved down there. And for him, he says, it gives, he plays that a lot more. And, chances his podcast is Surface Noise, it's worth checking out. But yeah, I thought that was a really neat idea with box sets to play the album more.
Oh, cool. Now I've got one of those, a couple actually, of the discography box sets.
Yeah.
And you're going to recognize this one. I know for a fact, because I think you've got it too. And that's the Bob Mould Distortion series. Four box sets.
Different ones, though. Different ones, not the same.
Yep. Yes, they're 4 different box sets. You didn't buy there, but it covers Bob Mould's history coming out of Husker Du, starting with I just brought the one in with his Distortion 1989 through 95. So you get his solo works and then diving into Sugar and then back to some of his other solo works. But this is actually the Mould box set is very cool in the fact that it did not recreate the album specifically, but you got brand new covers for most of his. So you get
Mhm.
things like the Sugar Beaster. This is backwards, and the Besides, and I see Sugar in here as well. With I'm having trouble again. This is the other thing with box sets. You're trying to get under File Under Easy Listening from
Yeah.
Sugar and Copper Blue, all fantastic albums going back to Black Sheets of Rain and Workbook, his first two solo albums. So you get, in this case, you've got brand new artwork. And as much as I enjoyed Bob Mould's solo work and that through Sugar, I actually didn't have any of his albums other than the only one I've got is an original copy of Black Sheets of Rain.
Okay.
That's in the collection that I play it often. So when this one came up, and I remember you and I talked about this one kind of made sense, the Distortion series, because you can get all of those albums. Now I'm not going to have to go out and look for original Sugars if I just want to play them. Maybe I would go, but if I come across it, but I'm not going to be actively hunting for those. And then the same with his other solo albums, it's the same thing. Now I've got all of these in a very cool package. And this particular set also, as you remember, there's a autographed lithograph inside from Bob Mould. So that made it kind of cool as well. So yeah, that was a tough one to go because they released these a couple months apart, but each one was a box set, and there was a total of 4 of them that covered his entire career and his live. Well, 3 of them his career and 1 live box.
Yeah. He kept them coming, and I kept shelling it out. I think there was a 5th one that neither of us got.
Probably, I'll have to go back and look in
It
through
was
there. I thought it
all
was
live.
no, I think the 4th one was the all live.
That was. Yeah, maybe
I think
it
it was Distortions live because
Yeah.
the third one covered his later solo
Yeah.
albums into the 2000s.
Mhm. Yeah, it was good. I think another good thing about box sets is, here's like this one here. This is Motown.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And, Motown obviously has tons and tons of hits. But do I want to buy all the albums so I can have that 1 or 2 hits that are on there? I think not, because I'm not going to play it that often. I want to hear the hits when it comes to Motown. Now, I know there's deeper tracks, there's other cool stuff on there, but the fact is, I like the hits. So something like this, which is a 4-album set, I get the Motown hits that I'm looking for, and it gives me what I need. You could get all the Diana Ross and the Supremes that you want, but how often are you going to play it? Because you want that hit. So these are, I do like these kind of compilations, especially when it looks at a record label like IRS. I have Sire up there. It takes a lot of that great stuff that record label put out and throws it all into a box, which is, to me, a lot of fun.
And I've got a Steven Wilson box set. I don't have it here, but it's the box set with a lot of his where he not his work solely, but it just brings in a lot of UK stuff. And I think we've talked before that I've got a collection of Elvis. I've actually got a box set of Jackie Gleason stuff. And if you're listening, what you're hearing is us attempting to wrangle box sets around while we're talking, not successfully.
It's difficult.
It is. One of the other ones, I'm just going to show this real quickly while you're getting settled. And this is the completest. I've got now all of Beethoven's 9 symphonies in one box set for the rare occasion that I wish to delve into the classical side of things. But these come through a lot here in the store, various incarnations of Beethoven, a lot of other classical box sets too. And the cool thing about that is that they're hardly touched if you've got used ones. Folks never really dive to them.
After the flood, some guy sent me 2 large boxes of those classical boxes. He says, I can't sell them at the store. No one's buy them. Would you want them?
Okay.
I'll
tell you.
Yeah, the story of great music, and there's like, let me pull one out. There's like 500 of these that came out, and you have them, and I've got them.
Oh, yeah.
But I am a fan of classical music, so it wasn't like, you're just dumping crap on me.
I had a Beethoven Centennial collection that came into the store a few months back. 15 boxes of Beethoven, each with 3 or 4 records in them.
Wow.
And I put them out and said, they're in the dollar room. And I put a post up, come get them. And folks did. Somebody came in wanted 3 of them, so that broke up the set, and the person that came in for the rest of them got mad that the set was broken up. So it's like,
Yeah.
well, but I mean, you look in our dollar room, for example, and I've got piles of Living Strings box sets, their recreation of classical music. I've got piles of Reader's Digest compilations from different artists, Herb Alpert, you name it, Mitch Miller box sets and the like. There's tons of those back there. They're just not that popular when you get to the older stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Boy. I think another good thing on box sets is to explore new music. And probably my all-time favorite is the Zamrock box
There
set.
you go.
Okay. And this thing came, I got box sets falling all over the place here, folks. It had quite a few albums in here. Now, the thing is, I'm not going to be able to show these very well because this is from Vinyl Me Please. They actually put them in special jackets to keep them clean. It's really neat, but this had just phenomenal Zamrock albums. You want a Zamrock album, you're going to be paying a lot of triple digits. And there's a lot of groups that I did not know. And so this allowed me to really get a lot of cool Zamrock and find out about it and really dig into what it's all about. And it's just phenomenal. I mean, this is just my pride and joy of box sets because it was so educational. And I wish they had pictures of exactly all that was in here. I'm sure there is somewhere in this book. I guess they actually go through each album in this book. But yeah, I mean, they really packaged them up good. Okay. Now the problem is, which one is it? Vinyl Me Please would do a podcast. So episode 3, you'd go to episode 3, you take this out, and on the podcast, then they would talk about that particular album.
Okay.
So that's why they'll all have this episode. Now the problem is, like, I remember those episodes. So what's in there? So I could easily take this out. This would be a case again, putting it in a sleeve, putting it in my shelf, and I will play these more than that.
Now I have a quick question on that, Steve. Where in your interest in Zamrock did that box set show up? You mentioned that using box sets to explore new genres. Mm-hmm. Had you already taken your dive into Zamrock, or did that predate that and lead you to other Zamrock artists?
I had dived in when I think last we were talking about, I was in a record store down in Cincinnati, and a guy pointed to this album. A record store employee says, "You need to try this," because I was looking for African music, but no idea about Zamrock. And it was Paul Ngozi. And that just that opened up a whole world to me. And I wanted this, but well, first off, Michigan's probably not the Zamrock capital, and sorry, but Radio Wasteland is not known for Zamrock either, getting it in. But I wanted to start finding this stuff. Vinyl Me Please suddenly came with this, and it was like, I mean, I was so excited to get it. I mean, I ordered it immediately. Now, a lot of these have been reissued, and quite a bit of Zamrock now you can find in repress, which is great. I was lucky enough to get a lot of originals, but you really can't play them, so you still need a repress so you can actually really enjoy it.
Okay. One of the other cool things about box sets, and this is where I think I've got a few more than I normally would, is the ability to take a classic, just an important live event, and put that down. And live albums have always been there, but they would become abridged and say, okay, well, we're going to put out a single LP or maybe a double LP of this concert. But the box sets would give you a chance to explore. Now, this one is not a go-to for me a lot, but I do have it in my collection. It's the Led Zeppelin How the West Was Won from 1972 in California, 2 different concerts from 1972, and lots of cool stuff on this. But again, I like Zeppelin, but it's not a go-to for me. But more importantly, and this is where when we talk a bit further about bootlegs, there are some officials, and I'll kick into my Pink Floyd Pulse box set. Mm-hmm. Just an absolutely phenomenal show, just a great packaging on this. So much so that when this one came around, I picked up the David Gilmour Pompeii, which covers his solo stuff, but also a lot of the older Floyd stuff. And he recreated that concert at the historic Pompeii Auditorium. on there as well. So that gives you a chance to, several records in there to explore the a concert in its entirety outside of a single or double LP.
Yeah, I used to have some of those box sets they had. I think they were more CD related. You get a set of marbles and stuff like that in there, but just it was Pink Floyd. So all right, for me now these are CD box sets, but probably the most important one that have had great influence on me because they're so good, and they're from Rhino.
Okay.
And these compilation CDs Rhino puts out. I mean, I have these for punk rock. I have them for 60s garage rock. These two are with the 80s, Children of the Nuggets and Left of the Dial. And I have bought more record albums, have gone down more rabbit holes because of these two box sets than any other thing in my collection. You talk about college radio. This is what it's all about.
Oh, yeah.
And it just takes you on a ride. Rhino was phenomenal. And I don't see as much of this from them anymore. They had one on the 70s, AM, more of a radio hit stuff, 80s, 90s. God, I just love these, and I play them to death. I probably my most played CDs. I lost almost all of them. I rebought these right away after the flood because they were that important. But I've learned more, gone into more genres and more groups because of these, which is why a lot of people go, "What the hell is that from?" Well, from this.
And I don't have it here right in front of me. I've got it over there. I've got something of that nature. I do own a CD box set from CMJ, and it's their anniversary sampler.
Yeah.
It's a 5 CD set from my college radio days. Again, I don't have a CD player, so I can't go to it very often, but that was the same thing, really opening up. But what makes it cool, and I'll have to show this off someday, is I've got the CMJ issue, the special issue of the College Music Journal that came with the box set still. So a very, very cool collectible.
Yeah.
But I've got one more to show, and this is just me being, have I ever played this? Once, a couple of them. But my heritage demands that I have a box set of 150 jigs, songs, reels, and ballads from old Ireland.
I love jigs and reels, Jim. I love jigs and reels.
There we go. When the one time a year when I'll put the O back in front of the Gleason and say it's O Gleason time. Yeah. But it's just a fun one to have. It's not a go-to, obviously, very often, but it doesn't take up that much space, does it?
No, I'd get that. Yeah, it's just so there's a lot of great stuff with box sets, but it's just they are bulky, and it really comes down to how much money are you spending on it, and how often you're going to play it.
Yep.
And is it really how worth it is? And obviously we buy stuff because we're fans of a certain album, really, and we want to have these extras out there. But boy, there's so many of them. In the 80s, the very first one I bought was David Bowie's Vision. That was one of the first box sets I ever remember coming out. And I thought that was really cool. Then Jeff Tall did one. I bought that. Now everything, Kiss 45 anniversary. We don't even wait for 40 or 50. Nah, it's 45th anniversary, and it's just piling on us, and it's like overwhelming.
It is, and there again, this leads into the bigger discussion of how far can you push the collectors, and maybe the labels are thinking about it, maybe they aren't, but you got to be there for the super fan who's going to buy, and they'll press 200 or 500 of something, and that'll be enough. But they're out there for those that want them. So, dear viewers, we're kind of curious where you stand. How do you like your box sets? Do you like the live ones? Do you like the compilation box sets with multiple artists? Do you like the entire discography? Are you going to order that Ozzy one for $600? Or do you like the exploration of an individual album, like with Steve's Kiss or My Rush or that Weezer one that's forthcoming here? I mean, there are so many different variations that you can dig into, and I think it again comes down to preference.
Yeah, it is. You're right. It very much is. And if it makes you happy, that's what it's all about. There is no right or wrong way. There is no right or wrong answer. If it makes you happy on what you're getting, then you're doing the right thing.
The only thing that I would advise for those that are thinking about box sets is that if you ever do an episode on box sets for a podcast that you're doing with a friend of yours, make sure you got a little more room because otherwise
Yeah,
you're banging and knocking stuff around. That's what we're both doing with this. But that just showcases that box sets are big, they're bulky, but man, some of them are fun.
they are. Yes, they are fun. But I used to have hundreds of them, and now I don't do it anymore. I can't afford that, or just not enough room. So I try to be
Spatial,
fun.
the spatial issues.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, as always, a very, very fun discussion. Please do not forget to check out our Facebook page. Just look for Two Guys Talking About Records. And you can find the description in the descriptions of these, by the way, you can find the Spotify playlist. I'll dig through aside from the recent ads and we'll try to add a few of these other things. I'm not sure if I'm going to find any Clancy brothers doing an Irish jig, but if I can, I will put it on there. How's that?
Perfect.
All right. Well, Steve, as always, thank you very much. Good talking with you again. Yep. Enjoy the turning of the temps over in Colorado.
That's right. Going to catch up to Michigan now. Get cold again.
Very good. Have a great week, Steve, and have a great week, everyone. Thank you so much for watching Two Guys Talking About Records. Till next week, my name is Jim, and I own a record store.
And I'm Steve, a record collector. Bye.
Don't box us in.